This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Gwilda Wiyaka's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the Science of Magic or endorsed in any manner by Gwilda Wiyaka, Relmar McConnell Media Company, its affiliated networks, stations, or employees. Welcome to the Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, a program dedicated to uncovering the unified nature of reality and humanity's ever-evolving place as truly galactic beings. For more information on the Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, visit us online at www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Welcome once again, dear friends, to the Science of Magic, a program combining the science and magic of today's leading topics to co-create new solutions. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. This hour we'll be exploring unleashing the power of your shadow. Your people think it is disease that makes you ill, my old Lakota teacher stated out of the blue one day while brewing a tincture of bear root for our upcoming Inipi ceremony. He rarely spoke, so I always paid attention to what he said. Well, yeah, I responded, the unspoken duh dripping from my tone of voice. It's not disease, it's absence that makes a person sick, he went on. How so? I asked. You're taught to feel shame for your very nature. Shame causes you to push part of your natural essence into the shadow and pretend it's not there. You're no longer present with that part of your power. It weakens and festers, leaving you out of balance and powerless. That's what makes you sick. True to form, no matter how long I pestered him, he said no more on the subject. Over the following years that I worked with him, I realized his shamanic healing techniques were all about bringing a person present with themselves and restoring balance. I also came to understand that his methods were not only non-invasive, but amazingly effective. What did he mean when he said, it's absence that makes us ill? Why are we made to feel shame? What was this shadow he spoke of? For that matter, what power do we disconnect from and resulting in illness, and how can we regain it? Our guest this hour may have some light to shed on this very subject. Sergio Magaña, author of Caves of Power, Ancient Energy Techniques of Healing, Rejuvenation and Manifestation, is a famous Mexican healer who's been initiated in a 5,000-year-old Toltec lineage and Toll lineage of dreaming knowledge. He's been appointed the head of a prestigious project club, UNESCO, the Protection of Intangible Heritage of Ancient Civilization. His website, sergiomagana.com. Sergio, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, Wilda. Such a pleasure. We had been waiting for this meeting like 2 months, and I am really looking forward to talk with you and your followers.
I'm looking forward to talking to you too. How did you learn to be a healer? Where did you get your training?
Oh, my life. Now I know when it's meant it's going to happen, because I was raised like in a traditional Catholic family with normal beliefs that took you to the doctor. But my mother used to work, so my training, that I didn't see it like a training, started with my nanny, because she took care of me, and she was the daughter of an indigenous healer of a community that lived very close to Mexico City. So since I was a child, I saw both things, like sometimes you were taken to the doctor or to the psychologist with my normal mother, but my other mother, my nanny, used these techniques about healing you with an egg and then reading it, or smudging you, and many others that she used. So in that way, then I saw that there were like two solutions: the traditional medicine and the other one that for me worked in a similar way. That was my start, and then when I grew up, found other teachers.
Mm. Is your healing work shamanic in nature?
Sorry?
Is it shamanic in nature?
Yeah. Normally people call you shaman.
Uh-huh.
In the ancient Mexico, you were called like curandero,
Uh-huh.
like the typical people from traditional medicine. And the what I learned after when I grew up is called nahualism. That
Ooh, we're gonna have to pick up on that on the other side of a break. Would you say the word again for me?
nahualism.
All right. So after this short break, we will take up on nahualism. This is time for a commercial break. Sergio and I will return shortly, so don't go away. You're listening to The Science of Magic. Our current episodes are internationally broadcast and aired daily through the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net. The X-Zone is based in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. In service to our listeners, prior innovative episodes can always be accessed free of charge on our website, thescienceofmagic.net.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Welcome back. This is The Science of Magic, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our guest this hour is Mexican healer and author of Caves of Power, Ancient Energy Techniques for Healing, Rejuvenation and Manifestation, Sergio Magaña. His website, sergiomagaña.com. So tell me, we were looking at a third option. There was curanderos, there's shaman, and what was the third one you were saying?
Nahualism, because shaman is now how the practicas are similar, but how it's named all over the world.
Right.
When it has like similarity. In the ancient Mexico, the language that was spoken before Spanish, before the conquest, was Nahuatl. That was spoken by Aztecs, by Toltecs, and that. And Nahualism comes from a word that is negua, that means I. So actually, if we see it from the etymology, it is like the science of who I am. And it had a lot of practice, not only healing. It was like you said in the beginning, that was so interesting, exploring your inner self. That actually the shadow, how you called it, for us was named the cave, and then your dreams, then healing practices, so that you could get to the precious knowledge. So it was such a complete body of knowledge, but that always started in what was named like the cave, that is your inside, and seeing how that relationship between your inside created your outer life, and these things that probably in the modern times we don't want to see, including our dreams, because normally people don't look at them, and how does that relate with with your life?
Okay, so how do you view illness in your practice in relationship to the caves?
Uh, Illness. The cave was like divided like in many things. It has like many layers for the ancient ones that Orwell named. Um, there were part like of academics thinks was think is a god, Tezcatlipoca, that means smoking mirror, but it comes from the definition of the one that is creating yourself is the first step of the cave. So you take complete responsibility about you. Then the idea that you have of yourself. Then the story that you think you have lived. Because if the only reality is movement, so it's only held by your mind. Then your sexual energy, of course. We also had the something that is very important for the ancient tradition, the what is called the yautl, or the enemy, the inner enemy, the part of us that sabotage us, that creates problems, and like that also one that we call the parasite, that is that inner voice that could be telling you this is impossible, you are too old, yeah, you are not beautiful or whatever. And then any problem that you create is like a mixture from all these aspects of the cave that could develop into or addictions or psychological problems or physical problems, like that. So actually, I found it very advanced for an ancient wisdom that in order to heal, it's like to begin solving all these layers.
It sounds like you're speaking of the different chakras. Are the caves located in the different chakras in the chakric system?
Yeah, there is a relationship between the caves and the in Nahuatl we would say Totonalcayo, that is like it means like spot of energy, and these caves relate to. Of course, the entire system is like inside us, but relates to the seven portals. For example, in the first one for the ancient Mexicans was located in the coccyx. It was named Colotl, that means a scorpion, and it's related to the ancestral patterns, the things that have been repeated in your family again and again, and that made you be born in a certain bloodline. That
Okay,
is,
so this is like the lineage, the DNA, the frequency of our lineage.
yeah. That actually, okay, DNA is a very modern word. The ancient ones call it like ancestral courses, actually, because they were repeated every certain generation in the family, and then you must look up there, because one of the most important practices of the tradition is ancestral healing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the ancestors are not like released, are healed, then people in the family will keep repeating it. And if you are repeating one pattern of one ancestor, then is to try to track that ancestor to heal him or her, and then you free yourself and then the members of the family.
So is this like I've noticed, well, even in my lineage, so my son was born and he didn't have any contact whatsoever with his great grandfather because his great grandfather had already passed before he was born. However, his mannerisms, his tendencies were almost identical in certain regards. Is this where that's coming from?
Exactly. For example, chronicity that you say. That because exactly all my tendencies and my problems came from my great grandfather, exactly. And I didn't know because those are things like I never met him, that people normally families don't talk about, and are just there. When I started like looking into traditions, so I began asking my mother, my grandmother, okay, how was him and the ones that he knew, and then I saw like many things of his personality that were repeated in me. And then I found, okay, it is kept like 3 generations, but then came in me. And then I began doing like healings to him in the way the tradition does it. That there are many. And after I did like certain healings on him, it began like being minimized in my personality. And then it was all finally. So I totally believe because I have experience, and then I was looking in other members of the family, and then you see okay, 3 generations have this tendency or that. It's fascinating. At the same time, when you don't know it, it's kind of like being trapped because it's so difficult to escape from your lineage.
But at the same time, if we're able to recalibrate or reprogram, take responsibility for our own expression and reprogram it, does it then change what we're leaving our descendants?
Yes, of course. For example, if I broke what was happening my great grandfather, then it's broken for the next ones.
That's so many of our traditions say, until the seventh generation, the sins of the fathers will be visited upon the sons. And that's what they're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So the healings
And
of the fathers can be then visited upon the sons and
yeah,
daughters.
for example, I have just done a pilgrimage to Mexico because we have like the Day of the Death
Mm-hmm.
feast like last week, and we're people from all the world, and we started the first 3 days about healing the ancestors, and we were doing like healing of 7 generations
Mm-hmm.
exactly,
Mm-hmm.
in order to break the patterns from the family to free the ones that come next. And for example, I am sure of that because I I know how I grew up. I saw how my siblings are and were at that time when we were young. And now I see, because I don't have children yet, but I see their sons and daughters, and they look a lot healthier and more balanced than we were. So I think that all the ancestral work that my mother, me, other brother have been doing, it's really reflected. So I see it by experience. I said, okay, we were a lot more complicated at that time than them.
Well, what I see going on here is, we understand that, again, through DNA, we pass down our genetics, et cetera, et cetera. But you're talking like a frequency healing that affects people that aren't in your direct line, like a son or a daughter.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's for the ancient ones that was inherited by the blood.
And yet, it's got to be kind of almost esoteric because you're not direct blood lineage. Your healing is having effect on your relations that aren't your offspring. How does that work?
Of course, it will make you attract certain type of people, relate you in certain way, and for the ancient was called the invisible prison of the moon, because the moon for the ancient was changing and was kind of an illusion because it's the mirror of the sun. So it was a very poetic way of calling it, because it's something that is hidden but that is influencing you. So
Okay.
that's why it was like the for the ancient Mexicans the first like tonalcayo, the one of the base, and it's called scorpion because if you know the scorpions sometimes they hurt themselves. So it is like a characteristic of sometimes hurting yourself and hurting yourself, and it's the first thing that you must overcome in order to be able to move to the next tonalcayos. That if we see all of them, they describe the entire pattern of the cave.
So are these tonal katas, are you talking about like the root chakra and then up to the orange and so on?
They have different colors.
Okay.
For example, the first one for the ancient Mexicans was black.
Okay, gotcha.
And is related to that energy that we call the black Tezcatlipoca, that is related to the unconscious, and is the first thing that we must solve. That's why nahualism is also, because it is said that in the way that we dream, it's also an inheritance from ancestral patterns. Of course, probably it's like living the same stories with different archetypes.
Got it. So you're subject to it because you're not aware of it.
No. And then, for example, probably my great-grandfather also dreamt a lot of violence. And probably in his time, violence was like represented by cowboys. But it's the same story. And probably I am repeating the same pattern, but the archetype of modern times probably it could be a very violent video game or something like that, in which I dream. But then it gives like a similar effect in your life, because for the ancient ones also dreams were creating your life,
right?
And dreams are inherited by ancestors, so it is like an action of healing the ancestors and then changing the way in which you dream.
Wow. That's fascinating. So this is new to me, the ancestors and their relationship to your dreams. We have just a few minutes left here, so I'd like to pick up on that on the other side, but you can get started. How do the ancestors relate in your dreams?
Of course, when you have advanced a lot in your dreams, you can even, because death is very similar to dreams, so you can even call them and ask for advice, and that is like in an advanced way. But
we're going to have to pick up on the other side, like I promised, because it is time for a short pause. Sergio and I will return to our discussion on the other side of this break, so don't go away. We're just getting into death and dreams. We're coming to you through the X-Zone Broadcast Network, where new and exciting things are always afoot. Don't miss the other fine shows and hosts on xzbn.net. You're listening to The Science of Magic, your resource for creating solutions in a changing world, thescienceofmagic.net.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Welcome back. This is The Science of Magic, a place where magic and science come together to promote enlightenment. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our guest this hour is Mexican healer and author of Caves of Power, Ancient Energy Techniques for Healing, Rejuvenation and Manifestation, Sergio Magaña. SergioMagana.com is his website, where you can find out more about him and his books. We were just getting into some fun subjects, real cheery ones like death and ancestors and dreams. So how do your ancestors affect your dreams, and how can we work with that?
Yeah, like I was telling you, we inherit many, many patterns, but at least in the ancient Mexican tradition, we know that, for example, now for science, DNA gives this inheritance and that. For the ancient tradition, the first thing that you inherit are the dreams, and then the dreams create the reality, because it's like halfway between the energetic world and the physical world. So, for example, if my great-grandfather had like the same tendencies that me, it means that he dreamt in a similar way than me. Of course, with his own archetypes and like that. That's why it can be, in a modern way, like for example, to be escaping from something that creates fear. Probably for him it was escaping from a cowboy, like I told you, or an ancient thief. For me, it would be escaping from an ovni or something like that. But it will be like the similar emotions and stories in the dream that then will be reproduced in your life. There are two ways of changing that. Of course, if you also what you do in your life influence your dreams. But if you don't know about this program, then you begin repeating the same things. So your awake life fits the same type of dreams, and then the dreams fit that, and it's kind of being like trapped.
So is this a matter of reprogramming our dreams, reprogramming our thoughts, so that we can rewrite our story?
Yeah, for example, when I began in this in the tradition after the nanny, because the nanny was only about healing and solving like headaches and these kind of things. But for me, it was like a start and to have a lot of respect. But when I found my teachers of nahualism and the tradition, that it was like that word became like a little bit famous in the world because of Carlos Castaneda.
Mm-hmm.
When I found my teacher that I had to Hugo and Ocelocoyotl, he told me something. The one that doesn't remember his or her dreams is like a living dead because has no control of his or her waking state. So in that time, I was quite a little bit like kind of offended because I was totally in the group of the living dead.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him, but of course it's so important what you think, what you do, what you eat, all these kind of things. And then he answered, but all of that depends on what you dream.
Okay.
And I couldn't say no because I hadn't experienced it. I wasn't doing dream recall, nothing like that. And of course I knew the importance that from dreams from Freud and Jung. So I said, okay, probably it's not that out of so far out from reality. But then when I began like practicing seriously and begin having like dream recall, and in the way that he showed me how to interpret them and what was creating that, I began seeing that was truth. That sometimes when, for example, to put you, because in the ancient tradition there was in psychology, there are very concrete things like the language of the four elements. When you dream about water, then it's going to happen like emotional trouble or something like that. And then I began watching that then every time that I dreamed with water, then I had like a small or great drama in my life, that it began making sense. And the effect from dreams happened like from one day to 9 months, because it is related to pregnancy. And I
Okay,
had
so let me interrupt you for just a second. I want to see if I've got this right. From what you're saying about dreams, some people say, well, you have precognitive dreams because then you dream something and then it happens. But this sounds like this is backwards of that. It happens because you dream it.
yeah, that's totally the first principle of the tradition. First you dream it, and then it happens. And so you must be very aware. And there are many practices to try to break the pattern in which you dream, to begin putting certain archetypes that are in the collective unconscious with the things that you want to create. And then, if it's possible, to enter in that the ancient ones call it flower dream, but that would be like lucid dream, that to be aware that you are dreaming when you are dreaming, and to begin that for modern science that will be called super lucidity, to begin interacting with the dream and creating solutions for what you want to create.
So then you're at the quantum level creating what you want rather than just writing what's been created by your ancestors before you.
Yeah, because for example, if I am creating, for example, the same violent dream, no, that it could be whoever, people fighting, whatever. If I wake up in my dream, and then I see, okay, this is violence, this is against the dream of the earth, and then probably I can say rain now, in the dream. That means purification, and make those two people that are fighting, if I am included or not, it doesn't matter, in the dream, to make peace. And then that will create a direct influence in my life.
So you're using archetypes or the frequency of archetypes in your dream state to alter the frequency to change your life.
Yeah.
Fascinating. How has your healing practice changed your perception of the world around you?
A lot. First,
I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah. First, I was aware of what I'm telling you. The importance of altered states that you can get into them through your breathings, and to enter in a state that is close to dream, that is called ensoñación, dreaming while awake, and how you can move reality in what we call reality, our waking state, in those states, in order
So it's
to
a trance
create.
state, yes?
Yeah. For the ancient Mexicans, like I said, they called it. It's more effective in dreaming, but if you're not able to do it dreaming, it called it soñación, dreaming while awake. That are certain ways of slowing the heart, but with your intent to cross through the four states that it will happen. They will happen when you fall asleep. That is to
Right, so
begin
you're
feeling.
changing your brain waves.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and actually, in my first publishing Italian, because I have 3 books. The first one was published by an Italian publishing house. They are doing like a study of different traditions and the effect that they have in the brain. And they asked me to do my practice while I was having a EEG.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did like the ancient practice of slowing the heart and feeling heavy, then stiff and rigid. That is like entering in the dream paralysis, but consciously.
Mm-hmm.
Then that is making your temperature drop. That is cold. And then finally to hear, without losing the consciousness, how the rhythm of your breath changes to the one that you have when you are sleeping. That sometimes is amazing because you even hear yourself snoring and you haven't lost consciousness. And then from there you begin practicing, and the result was that I was in certain in the delta waves. That means deep sleep, that normally is not even dreaming, but I was totally conscious. That
Right.
Now they are finding in some spiritual traditions, practices, that they get you to these delta waves, like totally boosted, and they call them now delta awake, and are just to be reconsidered like epsilon, because they say that they are like the closest to stillness. And in that state of mind that I learned, like I told you, from a tradition of thousands of years, is where you can begin also creating. For example, if you need healing, the ancestral archetype of healing, the serpent, or like that. And to be guiding the people through these states and getting, not in all of them, because I think there is no medicine, a healer that works for 100%, but in a huge average, amazing things that sometimes even are done in things that consciousness, social consciousness, science, and stereotypes think are impossible. So for me, it was like really like the confirmation that there is a major energy that can bring any, because I will never say I have the complete truth, but that there are many ways that to get there and to change your life.
And do you do this work on behalf of others as well as self-work?
I started like a healer. So I was giving like 1-to-1 sessions.
Mm-hmm.
then after certain years, and when I started writing books and going all over the world teaching, so I don't really have like the time to have to give it continuously to certain clients, because some of them need more sessions. So now I'm not doing one-to-one. I did it a lot, but I teach the people how to do it in themselves. And for example, I also give like a program of a healing school, so that the people know how to do it one by one.
So in other words, you teach people how to do it for themselves, but you also teach practitioners?
Yeah. I have just finished one in London. I have done many in Mexico. Yeah. How to become a practitioner of this.
Fascinating. Well, I really want to get into that on the other side of a break. We're going to have to go into a break pretty soon. But how long did you practice one-on-one as a healer?
Like 10 years, I think.
Did you find that the people that you worked on had to believe in what you were doing, or did it work one way or the other?
No, that was like one of the most incredible things for me. Like, was a great lesson also, because I had so many people. Because I wasn't like before traveling to many countries, I was like in the open radio in Mexico City, in a very mainstream station. So I had like thousands of people, sometimes in workshops and in healings, like a long waiting list. So many times.
Well, we're gonna have to take that threatened break and pick up with us on the other side.
Of
So
course.
before we pause, let me remind you to check out the amazing upcoming Galactic Shamanism classes for both children and adults on findyourpathhome.com. Sergio and I will be back shortly, so don't leave us now. This is the Science of Magic, your source to altruistic professionals of science and the esoteric, working to create common ground for the betterment of our world. Join our email family to receive our amazing topic-driven episode collections at thescienceofmagic.net.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Welcome back. This is the Science of Magic, bringing together gifted people of service to the world. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. What's up in your world? I always love to hear from my listeners. You can email me at info@thescienceofmagic.net and suggest a topic or a guest that's on your mind. You're probably not the only one that would enjoy hearing them. Our guest this hour is Mexican healer and author of Caves of Power, Ancient Energy Techniques for Healing, Rejuvenation and Manifestation, Sergio Magaña. His website is sergiomangana.com. We were getting into what it's like to be a healer, and you're saying that you have worked on thousands of people, and sometimes more than one at once, is what I was understanding you to say when we were just closing the last segment out. I understand that that you're one of the first ones to bring this out of an oral tradition. Is that correct?
Yeah. Like I said, the word Nahual was popularized in the world because of Carlos Castaneda. But I found my own two teachers of the oral tradition, so the practices are different, but they have certain similarity.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of my teachers told me after 2010 there will be an eclipse, and after that the ancient tradition is going to be spread. You will be one of the ones. You will start by Italy, then the UK, exactly like it happened. So it was like, and then I asked him, how did you know? He told me, of course, I dreamt it. And because my teacher told me that it has to start it by Italy because we think that our culture was kind of destroyed by the Spanish, but it was really the base in the Vatican. So we will start by there. So that's why I have been being one of the first of taking this lineage, because there are many other things that are going around about Mexico, like the four agreements or things like that. But like the dreaming lineage and the way of healing with that in this way. So I think I am one of the first, and there will be many others coming, I think.
So what was the purpose of it being an oral tradition only up until now?
Because in the ancient times, it was just taught to rulers, warriors, and the ones that were named Tlamakaskis, like priests.
Mm-hmm.
Then, after the conquest, these people were really like chased. And many were killed for these kind of practices. So it began being like forbidden. Then the culture totally changed and was because it was taught like the ancient Mexicans were like primitives and savages and that, so that even the people, even from the 3 generations of the indigenous communities, lost the interest, thinking it was something bad, and the Catholic Church put that it was like a sin, and so it began like an oral tradition to be preserved into few people. And but there was even like the prophecy of the last Aztec ruler, that in his last speech that is famous, and he said, hide our treasure, transmit it from fathers to sons, and from mother to daughters, and from master to student, because with the sixth son it will come back.
Mm-hmm.
The sons are periods of thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like in the 5th, and now we are just in the transition to the 6th. So I think there was like this group of keepers that kept it alive while it was the time. And now, for example, I am seeing that even in Mexico, it's increasing a lot, the interest, and in all the world for what was before.
Right.
So I think it was...
There's a lot of traditions that speak of this same prophecy, basically, that the knowledge was separated into 4 pieces and taken for safekeeping into the 4 corners of the world. But there would come a time when it needed to be released so that it could all come back together, so truth could be known. Are we in those times, and if so, why?
For the ancient Mexican calendar, that is called the Aztec calendar, but it's not really Aztec. Okay, the sunstone that is famous worldwide was carved by the Aztecs, but it's an inheritance that comes from cultures that were a lot before, mixed Toltecs and that. So the long count is of 26,500 years, and that is actually the count of the precession of equinoxes. And it was split into periods of 4, because for the ancient Mexicans, to complete a cycle, you always need 4, like 4 phases of the moon, or 4 main moments of the day, or 2 solstices and 2 equinoxes to complete a cycle.
Right.
So the long count was split into that. And so it gives you periods of 6,625 years. So we are finishing one of those periods, and we're entering in the next. The change started in 1991 and will finish in 2021. So when Cuauhtemoc, the last ruler, said keep it for the 6th son, is exactly now. And now is when carriers are opening and all the movement is being like starting, because then the 6 will last like 6,000 years, more than 6,000 years. But it's the starting of the opening and to rescue these practices, because actually they work and they can be life changing.
So, Sergio, do you think that we could, by using these practices, and this isn't the only one, I mean, it's beautiful, the ones that are emerging from the ancient times, do you think we can dream a new world?
I think yes. For example, there are very advanced practices in which you do ceremony in the dream time, and for the ancient, they said that the dream is. Then we need to create a certain people that know to do it in order to create enough energy.
Uh-huh. So we're working together as teams in our sleep. Is that what you're saying?
In this situation, it could be, and also in the waking state, in what you do and that. But yeah, working together in the dreams will be really, really powerful. And actually, I believe that collective change comes from individual changes, and that we have to start by ourselves. And then if you begin changing, then you influence your family, because all the family begin changing. And then you begin finding like your team of light and help in the world. And then you can begin doing ceremonies and like that to begin, I think, first balancing all the crazy times that we're living, and then to try to create a better one.
So you say we start by healing ourselves and then our ancestral line.
And our ancestors, and with that is huge.
And then we can move on into soul teams.
Yeah, I think so. See, because many people think about the collective, but if your life is still like totally, so I always tell the people, please start with you, start with your ancestors, then you are healing a community of, I don't know how many are in your lineage, but that's a start. Then some of your lineage will see the changes and will join. Then there will be others that will be doing for certain families, and then it will begin spreading.
And it's kind of like it starts really building momentum, doesn't it? Because
Yeah.
the more group you get involved, the more power behind the movement.
Yeah, I think it's like creating the base of a pyramid, the first floor.
Got it. Pretty fascinating. And you say this is supposed to run through 2021?
Yeah, the transition between the 5th to the 6th. That actually, for the tradition, they were saying that between 2012 to 2021, there were going to be like the more conflictive part of the transition, because many things of the previous order need to be destroyed in order to enter to the new one. That actually, if we see the world, I think it's truth. These particular past years have been a little bit turmoiled, and then we will be entering like in a new sun, new rules. That it won't be immediately. It will have like time to develop. But the main characteristic of the new sun is like you are looking inside. Inside is your underworlds where your mind is trapped. You will be looking of the creator you are inside, instead only in religions and outside, in medicine from inside, and also in your dreams, because it's not only about dreaming, it's a complete huge body of knowledge.
So it's a total shift. We're inside out and backwards of where we're going.
Yeah, because the past sun was like being awake, is awake dreaming. So when you are awake, you are seeing outside. So God is outside, so it's very good for religions. Satisfaction is outside, where we're always looking at people, and that medicine is outside, even from plants and from doctors, therapists, and that. The new rules of the new period it's like being sleeping. You close your eyes, so you have to look inside and find new solutions.
Mm-hmm. I'm all about some new solutions, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, because if you see, many of the old solutions, if we can call it like that, are not working anymore. People are starting crises or having health issues and that. So it's the time to look for new things that weren't available. The information was like you said, hidden in all.
all about new things, but unfortunately, we're out of time. Sergio, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for you, Wilda. I really enjoyed it. It was such a deep conversation.
Thank you, dear. Our guest this hour has been Mexican healer and author of The Caves of Power, Ancient Energy Techniques for Healing, Rejuvenation, and Manifestation, Sergio Magaña. His website, sergiomagana.com. This has been The Science of Magic. Join our email family to be the first to receive our thought-provoking, topic-driven episode collections at thescienceofmagic.net. Until next time, dear ones, may you be blessed with knowledge and comforted with love as we dream a new world.